Thank you very much. Excellent first beginning. Congresswoman, you may take the first question since you spoke second. So, do we have a Westfield resident that has a question for the Congresswoman or for Mr. Winsley?
Congresswoman Rosa, just curious, where did you come up with free Pampers to kids? I mean, I just can't understand that.
Sure.
I mean, it's a parent's responsibility to raise children, not a village, not a government, but where did you ever come up with an idea like that? I mean, it completely threw me off the hook.
Well, I'm very, very quick. This has been a very, very tough recession, and the cost of diapers today is very expensive. For families that are hard pressed today, and there is no cost involved, I might add. It's been misinterpreted. All that we're saying is allow for the current level of funding that is provided for families currently to include that purchase because of the high cost and oftentimes the inability. Look, I didn't start something called the diaper bank. That was done with industry. That was done with individuals. In order to make an industry and businesses in our community have really stepped up. They have taken on these drives in order that families who are low-income families, who don't have the wherewithal in this economy, they may be without a job, they may be without other wherewithal to be able to take care of their children. First and foremost, if you want someone to work, if you want them to send them to daycare, daycare will not accept them without them providing diapers. So thank you.
Mr. Winsley, do you have a response?
My response to your question, sir, when the Congresswoman first proposed this, I called Huggies and I asked them, I said, you know what, you guys make diapers, the government probably shouldn't be doing that. And what they told me was that they were already in the works of putting together their nationwide diaper bank and in the process of giving away 10 million free diapers to low-income people. I believe that the private sector and nonprofit sector can do those things. Government is not your baby daddy.
Yes, I've been retired for 17 years. I remember when I retired, gasoline was almost $1 a gallon. Now it's almost $4 a gallon. Home heating oil was 87 cents a gallon. It's $4 a gallon. My pension has never gone up, and I have no idea where people down in Congress are getting the idea to cut our pension and our wages like they've done. We can't afford it. The middle class people can't afford it no more. We've been supporting people for a long time, and I think it's about time for us to get our break because we worked all our life for Social Security and everything. So thank you very much. I'd like to know what they're going to do. I'd like to know what they're going to do with all the problems we have with gas, the cost of gasoline and oil.
Specifically, sir, to the question of gas prices, one of the things that I have proposed as a candidate, and I will work for from day one as your next representative, is an immediate suspension of the gasoline tax. I would also lean on Governor Malloy to join me in suspending the state gas tax, because with that one move, instantly, everyone in this room would pay about 67 cents less per gallon. In fact, I would ask the Congresswoman right now to join me in that effort. That's one of the things that I would do. That's not a tax break for the rich. That's a tax break for everybody that's driving to work, everybody that's driving around looking for work, and everybody in business that's moving goods and services up and down the road. That's the kind of innovative thinking that I'd like to bring to Washington.
Thank you.
Yes. First of all, with regard to the gas prices, the largest driver of the increase in gas prices is speculation by the oil companies. You can talk to the president of ExxonMobil, said that about 20% of that increase in cost is due to speculation. I have addressed that issue in a very serious way through something called the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. They have jurisdiction over our energy markets. They need, and they don't have it at the moment, and I have legislation that would give them the authority and the resources to really go after the Wall Street speculators who are responsible for driving up those costs. In addition to which, I have been the leader in the effort that would release a small amount of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, as had, on a bipartisan basis, presidents on both sides of the aisle, in order to drive that cost down and put the pedal to the metal with the speculators. The issue here is suspending the gas tax is a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. Because the Highway Trust Fund, which is now going broke, what's the Highway Trust Fund for? Maintain our roads, our bridges, put people to work. It is a part of what the economic growth of this state is all about, and that would take the money from there. Let us go after the Wall Street speculators. Let's drive that cost down. In addition to which, let's become energy independent, my friend. Energy independent. Let's increase domestic production. Let us a deal, yes, okay. Increase domestic production. You got my answer.
I'm addressing this to Mr. Winsley. I don't know if that's, okay, and I think that Congresswoman DeLauro can respond as well. I want to know specifically if you have agreed to or been already signed the pledge not to raise taxes. And how do you feel about the pledge in the Republicans? And those are my questions.
So, Congresswoman, go ahead.
Yeah, I would never sign a pledge from Grover Norquist or anyone else. We need to deal with the deficit in a very serious way. It's a serious issue. It needs to be dealt with in a constructive and a balanced way. What do I mean? It means that you have to cut spending and you have to increase revenue. What Grover Norquist says, that you will agree not to raise taxes, and it has to do with the richest 1 or 2% of the people in this nation. I believe that they ought to pay their fair share of taxes. We need to extend a tax break to people who make up to $250,000. We need, that's 98% of the American people, 97% of small businesses, and we need not to continue those tax breaks to the richest 1%, 2% in the country. We need to cut out the subsidies that go to big oil and to big agriculture and those corporations who take their jobs overseas. Yes, we're going to draw down on the war in Iraq, in Afghanistan. That's $130 billion every year, and in fact, we need to cut spending as well, and I'm happy to talk to you about that at another point.
Yes, I did sign the pledge because I am really not interested in having more of the government in the people's pockets. In saying that the suspending the gas tax would take away money from the roads, that's kind of like saying that the casino money and the lottery money actually goes to the schools. We all know it goes into the general fund. So that is a misnomer. What I would do as far as taxes is I am much more interested in restructuring our tax code to make it more flat and more equal and cutting out all the loopholes. The other thing, as far as bringing businesses, bringing jobs back into this country, well, I'll explain it this way. You shop at Walmart versus Neiman Marcus because Walmart's cheaper. You start a business and you expand it and you build it in New Zealand versus America because New Zealand is cheaper. Right now, we have the highest corporate income tax in the world, bar none. I've had business leaders tell me if we lower it, make it more competitive with some of the other countries like Canada. Canada's corporate tax is 15%. Well, we'll start to see more businesses coming back, and that's what I'm interested in, putting more Americans back to work.
I have time for one more quick question, something that can be answered in 2 sentences or less.
I don't know that it can be, but
Yes or no question would be great too.
you talked about cutting spending. Has Washington actually ever cut spending so that next year they spend less money than they spent this year? I mean, you hear about them talking about it, and it's always cut in projected spending. But it's actually more than they spend. I've never heard of us year to year spending less money as we're going on. We're always spending more, and we're borrowing a lot of money to spend more every year. So I agree they need to cut spending, but it never happens. Taxes just go up.
You gotta leave her time to answer.
She's
We're out of time now.
Yeah.
My question?
Mr. Winsley, give two sentences. and-
2 sentences. Sure. We can cut spending by shrinking the safety net, by helping more people out of it. As someone that's used the safety net, I know that the answer isn't to burn it, it's to create an environment where fewer people have to live in it. Private sector jobs do that.
Hang on a second, let me just, we have cut spending. If you take a look at the Budget Control Act, which is in effect now, we have cut both the defense programs and we have cut non-defense programs. We can talk further about that because I don't have time to do that. But we do, and I have done that myself. I have cut agriculture programs, I cut the alternative engine on the Joint Strike Fighter, and Japan pays the highest corporate tax rate, is 40%. What Grover Norquist would do, and I'm going to finish this comment, is with Grover Norquist, you would then continue the gridlock we currently have in the Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now like to introduce to you from the 9th Connecticut Senate District, Mr. Joe DeNunzio and Senator Paul Doyle.
Good evening, my name is Joe DeNunzio, as was mentioned, and first a comment about my appearance here. Through my conversations with Kathy via the email there, she said, don't worry, it's very laid back, relaxed, casual, so a lot there I am.
I'm fine.
Second thing I'd like to say is like Wayne, I could probably imagine there's probably 80–90% of people who don't even know who the heck I am. So let me start by a little bit about who I am. I'm from Rocky Hill, Connecticut. I was actually born in Middletown, grew up in Rocky Hill, my family grew up in Rocky Hill too, except for my mother grew up in Middletown. Yes. Product of the public school systems, and bear with me, Paul, you heard this before. Product of Rocky Hill school systems. First one from my town to go to one of the service academies. I ended up going to